Cool, Brandon. Just want to, I mean, a lot of people in the room know you because you're in the, you're in the program. Uh, I've talked about your business, pretty regularly over the journey. It's a pretty impressive one. Do you just want to quickly introduce yourself and just give a lightning quick intro of, what you do? I've sort of told people the easiest way to describe it for me is that you built a really great business. It's been going on a lot of years over the journey. Like a lot of people who build great businesses, they bring in a lot of tech, a lot of support. They find solutions that kind of work, kind of don't. And they're always wishing that they could find the perfect solution, whereas you guys kind of built the solutions that you were looking for as the business evolved. Would that be a pretty accurate way to describe it?
Yeah, I think that's an
Yeah.
excellent way to describe it. So
Awesome.
just to
Give,
give a
give me
little
one
back.
second, mate. I'm
Yeah.
gonna kick off. I'll be back in 1 minute. Okay. So just I'll leave it with you for a second. Okay.
Okay, no worries. Well, I'll just give you a little background so you know what we're relating to here. So I have a business called Western River Expeditions, another one that is Moab Adventure Center. These are companies that operate. We do rafting trips in the Grand Canyon, southern Utah, Idaho, Oregon, Costa Rica, and they're like 3 to 7 days in length. So we have that side of our business. That's the Western River side. We have Moab Adventure Center that's down in southern Utah. And there we have more of our day trip side of the business. So these would be anything from 2 hours to full day excursions. We do rafting, off-roading, horseback riding, hot air ballooning, rock climbing, canyoneering, scenic flights, mountain biking, a lot of those different things. Has anybody ever been to Moab? Yeah, okay. So you know all about those things there. National park tours, all of that. So we did that. We found, fortunately, we were really successful with both of those businesses and just kind of had a passion to give back to others and help other companies succeed. Very similar to Josh's story, actually, with what he did with his own business and kind of started this coaching program to help others find the kind of success that he had had. And we've kind of taken that same path, but did it through not just services, but also technology. So we built a booking system that is called ResMark. It's used throughout the tour operator industry. And we also built a digital liability waiver platform called WaiverSign. And then we built a tourism marketing agency called ResMark Web. So they all fit together nicely, but they can all be used independently. And that's a little bit of background there.
Cool. Perfect. What I might do, mate, is I'm just going to open up a quick doc here and I'll grab all those questions and pop it into one and share screen. And we'll just see how this goes. I actually, obviously you've got a few of the team on the call, which is amazing. I don't know who will be the best man or lady to answer those particular questions, but I'll just leave that to you. And then at the end, I'll obviously just let everyone know, or you can, how they could, learn more about you or how they might look at getting some of your support. But how does that sound?
Yeah, that's great.
Awesome.
Well,
All right.
depending on Josh, if I decide I want to share the screen, I mean, I'd like to make this as relevant as possible for everybody too.
Yeah.
If some of these questions are yours and you want us to pull up a website and do a little analysis or whatever, I may take over the screen sharing
Perfect.
and
Perfect.
do that. But I think I have all the questions in an email you sent me anyway. So
Okay, great. So the last one I just popped in there this morning was a good one. It's a bit of an expansion of one that we had that came through yesterday, but this one here about Yoast and yes. So I guess investing in SEO versus using that same spend to invest in Google Ads. So anyway, let's kick it off, and guys, let's make it. I mean, we just sort of flying by the seat of our pants somewhat, but please jump in. Last week was great. There was a lot of input and insights from people in the room, which was fantastic. So let's just do the same thing. Okay. So if you got questions, if you got, that sort of, vary or expand on these, if you got insights and stuff that you think would be valuable, please just jump in and share. Okay. Do you want to do this in this particular order, Brandon? And does that work for you?
yeah,
Yeah. Okay. Cool. So this is just sort of the way they came in. Keywords. So pretty sort of generic one. How do you know which keywords are helping the website rank better? What can we say about that one, my friend?
Yeah. So who was this specific to someone that's here right now? Was this somebody's question that's
This, I think it was Katie. Is that right, Katie?
That's my question. Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
okay? Awesome, Katie. What is your website?
My website's trulyitaly.tours.
Trulyitaly.tours. Awesome.
Could even just
Let's see if
share.
I can just maybe I'm going to go ahead and take over the screen here for a second because I'm going to show some tools and kind of look
Okay,
at
cool.
just to try
Awesome.
to make it most relevant for Katie so she can.
Okay. So you should be, could you just do that from
Yeah.
your end now? Yeah,
Yep,
yeah, cool.
I can still see your questions here on my other screen, so I'll
Perfect,
just
perfect.
and okay. Is everybody seeing that okay?
Yep,
Okay.
Mhm.
got it.
Katie, that's your website there?
Correct.
Awesome.
Mhm.
So you've got, this is beautiful, by the way, nice. So you're trying to figure out how do you know which keywords are really, is it more a question about which keywords should I focus on the website or what keywords are really
Yeah.
giving me traffic?
Yeah, because I feel like the ones that people were telling me to use were like things that I don't necessarily want to be known for.
Mhm.
So like one woman that went over my website for SEO, she's like, well, you should do it under wellness retreats because wellness retreats is something that's, everybody is looking for. Blah, blah. I'm like, okay, well, I have wellness, but like, I'm not doing spa treatments or yoga. I mean, doing one yoga retreat, but that's not my main goal. So I wanted it to be more like talking about like whatever people search for to actually see authentic Italy and like want to be with locals and want to be in a small group travel. Like, so I went back and forth with what keywords are good. And the women that created my website, they did SEO at the beginning, and then I don't really know what SEO they have used. So it was just, they did it when they created my website. So
Well, and this is okay. Well, let's take a look at this. So we can kind of see here. I've just got a couple of plugins we're going to use here to look through this. So I can see, what the title of the page is: Truly Italy: Intimate, Purposeful, and Educational Travel Experiences. And it can always be a challenge to, especially something that's kind of broad. I mean, I see in here that you've got, travel retreats, wine parties, which are probably some things you're offering, maybe more of a custom travel experience that if you want to come see Italy, you're the expert. We'll take you there and guide you through the experience, right? So let me just walk you through what I did on our site, and then we'll actually plug yours into a tool and just look at this. And hopefully that'll be kind of a helpful exercise for everybody. Because your question, I think, is at the foundation of everything we talk about, right? If you don't get the keywords focus right, then what are we doing? We're wasting money on SEO, we're wasting money potentially on ads if we're combining that into our strategy. Like we need to know what people are going to search that are actually going to bring bookings, right? So there's a couple of things that we can do to start with. One is looking at your current traffic. So when you go in, I assume everybody on the call probably has Google Analytics set up, right? You can and should connect your Google Analytics to Google Search Console. There's a setting behind the scenes that you need to do to turn that on. Once it is turned on, you'll get some additional information, which is basically telling you from organic search traffic, what pages are people actually hitting. So kind of our purpose here is to get a benchmark of what's actually working. Before I figure out what to change or what to do or what to focus on, I need to figure out what's actually working. Because the last thing we want to do is hurt something that's already working well for us, right? So we need to figure out what that is. So if you go in here and you look at Google organic search traffic, you're going to find that, which of your pages are actually pulling in traffic. So for me, interestingly, we do really well on this keyword that I never really wanted to rank for super a lot, but it's like our people are wanting information on whitewater rafting levels, the classification system for rapids, and we happen to rank #1 for that out of all the rafting sites in the world. And so they come to our site and hopefully That's more what I call informational intent, right? Somebody's landing on our site to get information. They didn't necessarily come because they want to purchase a trip. So we try to take that visitor and convert them over into something that will actually become a booking, right? Which sometimes we're successful with. If I come down in here to Grand Canyon rafting or Grand Canyon river trip, now I'm getting really specific. These people want to raft the Grand Canyon. That for me is a good commercial intent, high value keyword. And I can see that. I can also come over here and see queries that people have made to get to my site. And these will usually link to obvious pages on my site, but I can kind of see what's happening already when I connect this. Grand Canyon rafting is right up there. That's our biggest seller for this site. And I can see that there. And I kind of go down that list. Now, I don't get, unfortunately, because of privacy and other things, I don't get the entire universe of search right here, but I get a pretty good idea of what's happening there. So that's number one, just kind of looking at what the website is. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. And then I like to use a tool. Now, there are a lot of free tools out there, and somebody else asked a question about what free tools can I use. We'll talk about free tools in a minute here. But I'm going to use this tool here, and we'll actually look at your website in this, Katie, and just see what we can learn about it. But I'll show you mine in context of what we were just looking at. So I can come in here and find out for this site, what are we actually ranking for? And where do we rank? Colorado River Rafting gets a volume of about 2,000 searches per month. Its keyword difficulty is 38, meaning it's actually on the slightly more difficult scale, and our position is number 1. Grand Canyon Rafting, 1.2 thousand. We moved from position 2 to 1 recently. Snake River Rafting, we're in position 1, 1.5. So you can kind of see how that works. Now, when we're making a determination of what to target initially, we look at a combination of does the keyword have the kind of intent that I want? Like Grand Canyon rafting trips, absolute yes. Its difficulty is a 42 though, which for a new site or something is going to be really hard to achieve. We have on this site has over 24,000 backlinks. Like we'll talk about some of the other strategy with that too, but it has a lot of domain authority. And so we can rank for things like that. But I would be looking for something that has something low, like Whitewater Rafting Idaho. It has a difficulty of 16. That's not too bad. We're currently in position 5. So we're working on that. Once you're in position 5, probably not going to see a whole lot of traffic for that. But it has some decent volume. So I'm looking for things with volume, with high intent, and with not too much competition. Okay. So let's take yours and just for fun, plug it in here really quick as an example. And we'll see what's happening. So the good news is you're in position 1 for Truly Italy, your company name. So you'd want that because a brand search, for anybody who's heard about you through word of mouth, is going to be really important. These other ones, I mean, if you were to think, what should people be searching for to find you? Like what comes to your mind? If you were trying to put yourself in the shoes of your customer, what would you search for? Like Italy tours?
I'm still like working on that, like with Josh, but like my goal is to make it as authentic as possible. So I kind of want a keyword to be authentic Italy, but I know people don't search for that because I know people too much. So yeah, but this is helpful because
Well, and a tool like this helps you explore some of these. Now you might see like, gosh, I'm on position 69 or 68, like we're on the map, but maybe one of these keywords does make sense. So it's good to look at because this is what Google is already recognizing your site as having some content, some focus around.
Just to butt in for a second there, Brandon. So Katie, so you're a bit stumped. You're like, well, I don't know what people are searching for. What is that right?
Yeah, because I think, there's so many, the people I've been talking to recently is people are just wanting to do like 2 days here, 2 days there. But my tours are like week long at a villa
Yeah.
you
Okay. So now, Brandon, again, look, this is not my jam, but tell me if I'm wrong here. But so, Katie, you've just recently sold out your last 2 retreats. Is that right? I think you mentioned in your.
yes, I did.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how many people total is that have how many customers have you acquired in the
So
last?
total, each retreat is 6 people.
Okay. So you got 12 people there. That would be an obvious place to, like, they're your ideal customer. Do a deep dive with them. So I'm just curious. I've got a couple of questions for you about, the way that you would search. What would you be looking for? What sort of kind of search terms or keywords would you be using if you wanted to find something like what you're doing with me? You know what I mean? That would be an obvious place to start.
Yeah, that's my goal.
And some of these things, like if we're using the word retreat in this conversation right here, and I see it right here where my mouse is, retreats in Italy. And so let's take this one, for example, and we'll just look at your site. I would say this is probably a decent keyword. It doesn't get a lot of volume. We're talking about 20 searches, but it's really targeted. Somebody's looking for that. They're looking for the word retreat. You actually have a page about Tuscany retreats that's ranking for that to some extent. It's not in a very high position right now, but look at the keyword difficulty. It's only a 2. So there's not too many people going after that. So I would say that's a potential keyword. And then we look at variations of that, right? I see, if we click on this, we can see, I don't know if you do yoga retreats, but yoga retreats in Italy has 150, wellness retreats, retreats in Italy, writing retreats, best wellness retreats. So there's all these variations, and you can start to put together a little nexus of keywords about retreats and create some content around that, and maybe start to do better and say, this site is really about retreats in Italy. Just for comparison, I mean, I'm not saying this is the word that you'd want to go after, but if we went,
no, it's helpful because I never knew how to read this stuff. So thank you.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't know what all those abbreviations at the top from the first page, like I didn't know what all that meant. So thank you for doing that.
Well, and
sorry, Brandon.
Go ahead, Josh.
No, I was going to say, if anyone's got any follow-up questions on this one, don't be shy. Jump in by all means.
Yeah, or other thoughts or other tools people use as well. I mean, this isn't the only way to do it, certainly. I like to kind of come at this a little bit organic that way, to take a look at first how the site is doing, then come and take a look at what people are already searching for and start to kind of grow it from there. But really, you can make a list of these things in a tool like this, Katie, and you can plug in, we could look at tours in Italy. Obviously, we're getting, 500, but very hard to rank for compared to our 2 in terms of difficulty on the other one. So I might say, well, gosh, let's start with retreats. We already have a little momentum there. So
can you just explain, like, there might be some people on the call that are just not 100% clear what you mean by that, like the difficulty as in 2 compared to 42?
Yeah, it basically means this one. So right here, see this little text underneath, it says 50, you'd need 56 referring domains to rank in the top 10. So let's talk about what that means. So we'll use Google as an example. And I'll go back to my site for a second here. So if we look at this overview right here, we can see the site overall has a domain rank of 50. Every site in the web has some kind of domain rank or domain authority, which are pretty synonymous. Different tools use different ones. You can see a DR or a DA are often the abbreviations, and they're from 0 to 100. A site like Google is going to be up there at 100, or some of your news sites that are frequently trafficked, they're going to have 90 plus authority, meaning there are a lot of incoming links to this. And there's a lot of traffic here. People spend time here. And so Google gives the site some kind of ranking, right? And it says, basically, Google's trying to figure out trulyitaly.tours has some level of authority. And that authority will increase as other sites with authority link to you. So if you're a credible site and you're talking about retreats in Italy, then other sites, maybe you get some features on, different news sites and things like that that have some good authority. It's a good, like why we do PR and stuff like that. We get articles written about our company. We have writers come on trips. They, write things and it gets published in several different locations. We have incoming articles from Forbes and the New York Times, and these are high domain authority sites. And not everything has to be high domain authority. We could also get links from other sites that have information about Italy, but they have a focus about your specific type of experience. And they're linking to you saying, Katie is the expert on authentic Italy retreats. This is what she does. And they've written about that on their website and they're linking to you. So it's a combination of relevant sites that are within your topic linking to you, and high authority sites also saying this is a credible source for this information. And if we can achieve both of those, then that's what that difficulty level is about. Does that make sense? Because that is difficult. I mean, if I said, hey, Katie, we got to go out and get 56, links that are coming to your retreats page from pretty authoritative or focused sites, and we don't want junk. We don't want sites out there because you can buy links like this and some of them are just junk and they'll hurt your site more than help. And so that is difficult. And so that's where that difficulty ranking is coming from. When we see a 2, it means, hey, I might only need just a couple. Like that could be pretty easy. I'm in this industry. You probably know a lot of your suppliers. Maybe that's a good place to start too. Like some of the hotels you work with for these retreats, other places like that, they should advertise you because you're filling rooms and stuff. And so if you get a link from some of those, that's awesome.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
Thank
can I
you.
just add one thing, Brandon?
Yep.
One thing we've noticed too is like
Cool.
when you're going into keyword research, it's often really easy to be like, ooh, that has high volume. I want to go after that. We found that that's often you just get flooded with people that are wasting your time because they don't have true intent, right? So when you see something that's like 20 people search this every month, it can seem off-putting, but where you see a lot of the value is those are 20 people that are searching very specific keywords to exactly what you're targeting, and they're a lot more likely to purchase. So as you build up more and more of those, now you're getting 20 people from this keyword page, 20 people from this page, and it starts to add up to all people that are very focused into what you're offering.
Yeah.
Cool. Katie, you just had a complimentary website audit, so that's great. Let's jump into the next question.
Yeah, so next
do you want to get it
question.
up on your screen?
Yeah, I'll just read it here because I'm probably going to share this here as well. How do you know which keywords are helping? No, that was the first one. Okay, so this one is about, it says, we know most customers won't read a website and especially not terms and conditions. And I think this goes together with the next piece. Will a step-by-step website ease the customer journey or stop them from proceeding? For example, I need my customers to understand that weather has a huge implication on the boat hire before booking. I also need them to learn the basics of how to drive a boat and navigate a river. This is hire and drive without a skipper's ticket, as I can spend hours on the jetty teaching this. Love some suggestions about how to set this up on the website. So who asked this question? Are they on the call today?
I think it was Yvonne, and Yvonne is not on the call.
Okay.
But I do know that Howie and Yvonne were back and forth in the group because Howie has a similar type of experience and has some clear weather terms and conditions. So anyway, I think that this would be helpful for him as well, potentially, or we could add some insight and suggestions as well.
Yeah. Does anybody on the call have a specific scenario like this? I know it's very common. I mean, I can use my own, but I'd love to use somebody else's if someone has one where you need to convey some information to people during or before the booking process, but you don't want to cause abandonment, to increase during the booking process. Does anybody have that scenario? If not, I'll just kind of answer the question.
Yeah, just jump in. Yeah.
So a couple of things that we try to do, I'll use this as an example. Let's see. So often you'll have something that you need to convey, whether this is a warning about weather, whether it's, you know, certain terms and conditions that they need to understand. And I can't remember if we still have this on here, but I'll show you where this occurs. Oh, not that one. Let me see. And I don't think I have it on this, but we'll often insert something into the booking process. And this is something we've just built into our system. You can kind of see something here, but we'll often do something like this where we plug into the process and policies. We don't try to, it's not too big of a detour from the process, but they're just going right through that. They've selected their date, they've got the time, whatever that might be, maybe a warning about the weather, maybe it's, you know, you need to understand that there will be this moment, you're going to need some training prior to this, you're agreeing to it before you check out. And you simply click I agree and then add to cart and continue your checkout process. We've found that to be a pretty effective and efficient way to get through that booking process when you need to say something in advance. In our system, we actually allow you to plug that in right here before the process, or we can do that here as part of the checkout process. You'll see there's more terms and conditions here that were not presented right up front. And our third option is to put that on the printed confirmation, which is obviously the most buried, not very in your face to know that you need to agree to it, but each one of those has a place in the checkout process. And I think that that works fairly well. So hopefully that's helpful for that.
Right.
The next question is, does anyone else have any other follow-up or any insights to share on how you've dealt with that in your own scenarios? If not, I'll just move on to the next question.
Yeah. Is that, Erica, that's a question in the chat there. What's your reach? As in
when somebody's listed with you, do you reach other parties? I mean, do you reach out like Resdi and other, or same, you know, some of the similar booking systems?
Oh, in terms of like OTAs and stuff like that?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, we have an integration that allows us to tap into 32 different OTAs. I mean, your big ones like the Viator and Get Your Guide and Expedia and so forth, plus a lot of others as well. Our platform's a little bit different from some of the others in that it will actually allow you to build your own local network a lot better. Like we've actually taken, which I've loved Josh's program for that. He talks a lot about that. And, you know, if you look at our site, we operate all of our own rafting tours, but we don't operate Jet Boat. That's another supplier that operates that. Jeep Rentals is another supplier. The air, you know, zip line, hot air ballooning, mountain biking, horseback riding, we sell one another's tours, and we have a lot of other ranches and hotels that sell ours. We've kind of created our own local network of companies that sell hundreds of thousands of dollars for one another, and it's a huge source of our revenue. So we try to do that. In terms of reach, we do a really good job on the local level, and then also the OTAs. But often the local level can be less expensive, I think, than the OTAs. They've just gotten incredibly expensive recently. So
Sure have. Yeah.
Cool.
yeah.
Let's move on to the next one. Was there anything else?
Yes, sorry, it's Karen from Seaway Kayaking. It's just how are you?
Good.
Sorry, I have a little baby with me.
Don't worry.
I will be quick. In regard that integration, like you developed that integration, or how did you get that integration on
With the
all
book
the OTAs?
for the online booking?
Yes, well, for the agreement of all the terms and policy before booking.
Yeah, so that is just part of our software solution that's called Resmark, and it allows us to actually create those policies. So if I were to log into our account really quick, I could just show you. Super easy to set up. This is our Moab Adventure Center account. I go in here into policies. So that same thing that you were seeing there. Which one did we see up? The GoPro and camera policy. it pops up right here. I said I'd like to require agreement before adding to cart. So as soon as that is booked on my website, that's how it popped up right there. That was the policy that we were seeing when I clicked on that booking.
Oh, perfect. Gotcha.
Does that make sense? So it's just
Yes.
part of the software that's powering that. That policy right there is powered by this setting inside our application.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yep.
Oh, good question though. Yeah, so speaking of questions, the next one we had, Brandon, was about SEO plugins. I think that was that you, Christina?
Yeah, that was me. So I've used Yoast and Rank Map, and I just wanted to know what the thoughts were on that.
That's a really good question, Christina. So I have mixed feelings on these. I mean, they're a good tool because I'm assuming you have a WordPress website.
Yeah.
Right? So both of those are WordPress plugins, and they do provide some level of insight, right? They're giving you keyword ideas. They're telling you about your content. They're looking at keyword density, how many times you've used it in the page, helping you make sure that your title is accurate. You're not missing a meta description. Like they're useful for that for sure, because without it, some people just don't know what boxes you're supposed to be checking. And I like it from that perspective. One thing I have found, particularly with the Yoast plugin, I'm less familiar with Rank Map, but it does, one of the aspects we always look at with website rankings is we look at site speed, right? That's one of the factors, one of many factors. And sometimes when we have these plugins on our site, they do cause the site to slow down a little bit. And I've seen that with some of those. And you can look at that with like a tool like PageSpeed Insights, which is a free tool, and you can plug in your website here. Maybe if somebody from our team wants to share that on the chat, this is a good one for everybody to kind of run your website through. And it's Google PageSpeed Insights, and you can just plug that in there and it will tell you how your site is doing. And it will take into account the fact that Yoast is on the site or Rank Math or whatever it is you're using. But yeah, I think they can be effective. There's another question down here about like free versus paid that maybe we can talk about at the same time, because there are free versions of these tools, right? When you're on the platform, you can use the free tool. And I think I guess my answer would be it's better than nothing. If you have it available to you, use it. Are there better things that you could potentially be using? Probably. There are, I really like this Ahrefs tool. But it costs $129 a month to utilize it. So there's some expense to it. But it gives you a lot deeper insights for your pages, but you also have to kind of figure out how to use it, or it's, not quite as good. But I could, and I'm not going to go over a whole demo of this necessarily here today, but it has a lot of information. Like I can look at who my competitors are, what content don't they have that I could potentially have, and I could rank for certain keywords that they don't. And some of these other tools scratch on the surface of that a little bit, but these other ones that are paid go a lot deeper. And I think that's where you get a lot of the value. Whether you have the tool yourself or whether you're paying for a service that really understands the tools and can utilize those, that's kind of the balancing act between those two.
And I guess for someone who's doing a bit of DIY, like a small, tour business owner, there's a lot of data. In the same way with paid ads, there's a lot of data that you need to get like blinkers on and only focus on the stuff that really matters, rather than all this, this overwhelm of data. So what are some of those, like, couple, 2 or 3 pieces of data that a DIY tour business owner looking after their own SEO should really be focusing on?
Yeah, it's a good question. And it goes along with our next question, which is what is the most cost-effective way to increase your organic presence, right? Like what are the few things we should really do if we're trying to do this in a cost-effective way? So I'll just point out a few things. I would say, number one, look at your website in PageSpeed Insights. It's an easy thing to do to just check the technicals on the site, because Google doesn't want to serve up, you know, a really high ranking for a site that loads incredibly slow and is going to be a poor user experience. So look at that. The other thing, Christina, what is your website?
Well, you're on mute, Christina.
Yeah,
There
I've
you
just put it in the chat.
go. Oh, okay, cool.
Let me grab it here. All right, Inverted Atlas, very cool. So we could take this and we'll just plug it. We'll plug it in here and let it run for a second. And we'll come back to that in a minute. So number one, I would look at that. That's a quick and easy thing. We could kind of go down a list, and you can, if you've done the website yourself, there may be some things that you can go in and correct. So like get the technical piece as correct as you can with the skills you have. And then number two is make sure that your on-page SEO checks all the boxes. And what I mean by that is, do we know what keywords we're focused on? Kind of going back to our first question, have we picked the 5 to 10 keywords that we really want to focus on for a small website? Maybe just start there, and go through those tools that we talked about and find those keywords, and then make sure that you have content that is focused on that. So what, for example, on one of yours, Christina, just give me an example of one of your keywords. I think you're still
You're
muted.
on mute again.
I haven't really focused on keywords for the homepage. I'm more focused on keywords for each specific tour.
Okay.
Because our tours are all really different and really unique. So sort of thinking of something besides the company name to bring the actual company page up has been a bit difficult.
Yeah. Which makes sense. I mean, often, you know, if people don't know about Inverted Atlas or they're not going to do a brand search, then you're absolutely right. Like go to the tour level, the destination, the activity combination. What is that?
I guess the reason I asked about Yoast and Rank Math, because it does seem a bit hit and miss. Like my Egyptian archaeology tour is on page 1 of Google. And my Morocco food tour is like all the way down the bottom of page 2, but it's got a better score in Rank Math than the Egyptian archaeology tour. So they don't seem to make a lot of sense to me.
Mm-hmm. Let's go to one of those. Maybe just direct me to one of the pages you want to look at, and we'll take a look at some of the on-page.
Just go to Middle East and Africa.
Okay.
And that one there, Spice Odyssey.
Okay. So I'm going to click this button to find out more. And I'm going to tell you, I mean, some of the things that Yoast is probably telling you, or Rank Math, we'll talk about, but for everyone's benefit, I'll just kind of look at this. We'll use a little plugin here. This is a free plugin you could add from Ahrefs. It's analyzing your content really quick. So if I were looking at this, I would guess, you tell me if I'm right or not, but the target is Morocco food tour.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay. And this is not a bad title for that. You've got Morocco food tour in the title. The description has Morocco food tour in it as well. And it's not just about keyword stuffing, right? Like Google's pretty smart these days about like factoring in synonyms and stuff. So write like a human, you know, like make it sound good, but you do need to have these in there. If I just put Spice Odyssey 21 Days as my title, I'm probably not going to rank for anything that has to do with Morocco food tour because I didn't even put it in my page title, right? And then we come down here, and the next thing to look at is your H1, and you've done a good job there, like Morocco food tour. You have it in a couple of others, reasons why you love this tour. You've got your details in there, and it's actually set up pretty nicely from that perspective. You have a decent amount of content on the page. And so if we look at the technical side of this, which is still kind of running, it's actually doing pretty well. Your performance, that's a decent number, Christina, right there. You're following some best practices. You've got a decent SEO score. There's probably some things in here that we could potentially look at. This is just looking at your homepage. We could run this specific page for Morocco and find out a little bit more to see if there's some things to fix from a technical perspective, but that would be something to look at for sure. And then it kind of starts to come down to, if we've checked all the boxes there, and I'm not digging too deep into this, but you can kind of see, hopefully everybody can kind of see what we're looking at here. Like your page title is important, your meta description is important, the headings on the page, the sequencing of those is important, and the fact that we're kind of using that keyword, which I can see it already just kind of scanning your page, and that it's not overdone that way, then we've got a pretty good page in terms of content. So the next thing we look at is interlinking on the site itself. And how have we done that? I think in terms of, if we back up a second, is this the only link that comes to this site, or do you have blogs about the page as well?
Yeah, there's a section at the top called postcards, and that's the blogs.
Okay, and you've written about Morocco Food Tour there, and some of those blogs link to the page.
Okay, all the Morocco blogs link to that tour.
Okay, which is great. So you've got inside content in the site that's kind of, you created this little web of content. Google would probably see those pages as secondary, supporting this primary page about the Morocco Food Tour. And after that, we kind of have to start to look off page and to start thinking about, backlinks and things like that. Has other people written about the tour? Are they linking to it? And it would be interesting to compare this with your other Egyptian tour that's ranking really well to see, is the backlink profile a little bit different? Has the Egyptian tour gotten a little more publicity out there and it has more incoming links, and therefore Google has said, that's a better one? Or is there just straight up more competition for Morocco Food Tour? And that's what you're dealing with, compared to the other one, because there's all of those kinds of factors as well, right? And we could take a quick look at that here too. Let's just plug it in. So this one shouldn't be very hard, actually. And you get about 90, but you're saying you're nowhere on this thing.
Yeah, I'm on page 2.
Yeah. So you're dealing with
Intrepid.
MoroccanFoodTour.com, which obviously a site totally devoted to Moroccan food tours and nothing else is going to be tougher to compete with, because you got a lot more content diversity on your website. Intrepid Travel's big, high, DR, like they're going to have a really high authority. And so that's always going to be a tough one. TripAdvisor, of course, Moroccan Food Tour again. And then some of these other ones are probably smaller sites that shouldn't be too hard to compete with. But you do have a few at the top there that obviously are going to be a little bit harder to compete with. But that's a good question. I mean, could you get more out of other tools? Possibly, probably get some more insights, looking maybe beyond Yoast and Rank Math, to maybe get a little more insights to help that. But does that help?
Yeah, it does.
Super interesting stuff. And yeah, it's very, very insightful. Yeah, absolutely. Cool. All right, let's motor on in the interest of time. We've got about 10 minutes.
Yep.
And we'll dive in. Some of the questions I put in there just literally as they came. So I didn't kind of filter out double up questions. So do you want to just have a look at that list with me now? I'm taking a look as well.
Yeah, I think the next one here, we could talk about, is there a tool, free or low price, to analyze the homepage and see what needs to be done on page SEO? There are definitely a bunch of free tools. In fact, Nikki on our team was just putting together a resource for this that we can maybe pass along to Josh, and Josh, you could share it out to the group when we're done. She's just polishing that up right now, but it'll have a bunch of things. There are a lot of decent tools. The thing to keep in mind with free tools is they're always going to hold back something, right? Like they're going to give you just enough to kind of get some value, and then the paywall, behind the paywall, is going to be something you really eventually need. But are they a good way to get started, to do a little research, to dip your toes in the water? Yes, And there's some great tools in our list that we can send on for that.
That'd be great. Yeah. So I'll just chat with Nikki about.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
get that from her. She'll pass it on to you. I had a
Cool.
bunch of them up here, but I'm in the interest of time, I won't go through them each right now. But we'll send those out. She's got a nice write up on each one of them.
The one thing too is don't ever just rely on one or even two or three. You know, utilize as many as you can to get the most out of them if they are the free tools.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The next one is off page. What are the best tricks to increasing positioning with Google? XML sitemap, keywords integrations, etc. This is it's a good question, and we've touched on it a little bit. And there are obviously a lot of factors to the way that Google analyzes pages, right? And I think I always like there are a lot of, we use the word trick in this question a little bit, and sometimes we like to think of it that way, like how do I trick the search engine, to rank me higher? And often it's really more about just best practices, like do a good job organizing your content on a page. For instance, this page right here is focused on Moab River rafting. We currently rank #1 for this. And you can see, our URL is simple. It's focused on this. I'm not really trying to do anything special here. I've got Moab River rafting in my H1. We're featuring rafting trips. We're focused a lot on usability. How do we make sure that this is a good user experience? It's part of the Google algorithm, that they care. And I think we don't know all the things that they track, but Google knows just about everything about every visitor, right? They know how much time they spend on the page. They know if they bounce back off of the page. And those are key factors. If you get ranked high and it starts tracking the fact that somebody lands on the page, stays there for 3 seconds, goes back to Google over and over, and that is the user's experience, they don't want to rank that site high anymore. And it's just going to fall off because it wasn't a good user experience. So everything from your imagery to the, how you drive people deeper into the site right away, those are all key factors. Sometimes we don't think of that as SEO, but it is, and it is really, really important. So you're hitting all the basic on-page stuff, you're making a really usable, good user experience, and then beyond that, it's off-page stuff, which is like what we talked about, getting some publicity out there, getting some links. Other people care about your business, they're writing about it. Social signals that people are, talking about you online and linking back to your channel and your website, and all of those things just come together to kind of say, can we trust this company that's got this page about, whatever tour in this location? And when all those signals align, that's when we find ourselves up at the top of the search results.
Yeah. Cool. I think the last couple of questions, well, the one I sent through this morning, I think it's fairly similar to what we've just talked about. We've got a WordPress site. We use Yoast free version for SEO, perform well. But I guess the crux of that question is, most of our clients come from organic Google search. Would we get more reach or better insights by spending money on the paid version of Yoast or another paid SEO plugin, or better off using those resources, spending money on Google AdWords?
Yeah. And I would say if you have some of these tools, for what you can get, the increased insights you'd get with a paid tool, I think are well worth what you would spend on it. Either a tool or a service to help you, right? Like either one of those. This is organic, ranking well organically is likely it's the holy grail, right? Like it is over time, it's the least expensive, potentially highest converting traffic we can possibly get. Should we support it with ads? Absolutely. Like once we understand what keywords are driving our traffic and our conversion, then pair that with ads that are related to that, or they're the ones that have the high intent that you're not quite there up at the top. But we've even found synergy between ranking #1 and sometimes even paying for that same keyword being up there twice. Somebody's bound to click the ad, others are bound to skip the ads and click the first listing. And we've done that sometimes. Some might say, well, that's a waste. Why are we doing both of those things? But when you know what's working from a conversion standpoint, you can look at your return on investment and it just makes sense.
Hey, great comments there, Dawn, in the chat. As far as imagery goes, Google only knows how to read data. It can even determine if your photo is authentic through the data embedded in the photo. That helps your overall authority as well. If it's being used across thousands of websites, which is a really good point, because I talk a lot about stock images, and I talk about leveraging your tourism associations to supply you with high-res images that you may not have the resources to get yourselves. But that of course is going to impact you, because those images are going to be used across other platforms and sites as well, which is a really good point. So yeah, awesome. That's really helpful. We're going to have to wind things up in a minute. Is there anything else you wanted to just mention, Brandon, before we do that, or anyone got anything they want to quickly jump in with before we start to wind things up? Otherwise, so if this has been absolutely amazing. I've learned like a crap load, I've got to tell you as well. What I guess would be good, two things. First of all, Brandon, just let people know, because what I'll be doing, obviously, this is great for the people that came live. I'll be sharing the replay in the members group. I'm probably, because it's just so helpful, I'm going to share it into the public group as well. But how can people reach you guys, or what's the best process if they want to, first of all, learn more or reach out to you guys for a bit of extra support? Yeah,
a lot of what we've been talking about today is about website related things. So you could certainly jump onto resmarkweb.com. You can see some of the packages there that we offer. Website only, website plus SEO. These are ongoing packages. We basically want to become your partner. If you sign up for one of our SEO packages, we basically create the website for free so that we can do it right and get better rankings for it. And that's kind of our model with that. If you want to supplement your SEO with pay-per-click, with ads, we can help manage that as well. And so we're just in the business of really helping you find cost-effective ways to get a return on investment. And so happy to do that. You saw a little bit of our, software side of things too. Those two pair together really nicely, but you don't necessarily have to use both. If you're interested in that, there were a couple of questions about that. You can totally check out resmarksystems.com. And then Nikki's just dropped Dawn's calendar there in the chat. So if someone wants to, if you guys want to go and just grab that, that'd be good. Which obviously won't be able to grab in the recording, but so just if you want to go over your site and SEO with you, that's great. And look, the reason, but what I love about this is that ultimately the stuff we're talking about, your number one goal is to improve business performance, and there's no better testimony is probably not the right word, but for someone, for a business that has grown to multiple 7 figures, 8 figures, and has created these tools that's allowed, that has fueled the growth of the business, it's the ultimate accolade, so which is pretty unique in this space to have a group of people or a person that's been able to grow such a wildly successful business and then create this range of tools that's allowed that growth to be fueled. So I'll also speak with Brandon and the team about how we'll figure out a way that they might be able to offer more support to people in the program as well. And I've got a few thoughts. I'm sure you guys do too. So maybe over the coming weeks we'll figure out how that might look. But we might have to wind things up. It's been great. Thanks. Really appreciate you guys all coming on and helping out. And we'll one other thing, Josh, I'll just throw in too, is we've got a webinar coming up with Josh.
Yes.
Well, I don't know, if you advertise that to your own group, but it's
I will. I definitely will. Yeah. So that's it's purely sales based. So there's obviously, it's I think it's on the, what is it, the 29th. So
29th, Yeah, you're
Yeah.
talking about 5 big opportunities to
Yeah.
2x your tour activity business
Yeah.
in 2024. So I'm excited for that. That'll
Yeah.
be a good one coming
Yeah,
up.
exactly. So that'll be great. There's even for you guys in the program, they've got more deep dive workshops within the members area. I'm sure you'll still learn some new stuff and just reinforce a lot of stuff as well. So, but I'll promote that over the next few days as well. Okay.
Awesome.
Awesome. Great session. Really enjoyed it. And I know you guys would have got a lot out of it as well. And I'm going to put an end to proceedings and we'll catch up with you guys soon.
Okay. Thanks, Josh.
Thank you. Bye-bye.